Hello dear viewers. Today we're going to talk about the different types of texts that you're expected to write for Cambridge O-Level. In part 2, we're going to go through ways of writing a speech, a magazine article, and an email. We will start with speech writing. You need to remember that the purpose of a speech is often to inform or persuade an audience. Speeches are usually written to be spoken directly to an audience and can be used to entertain and to influence the listeners to believe that the viewpoint of the speaker is correct. Speeches can also be used to encourage the audience to take action or to change their behavior in some way. For example, to join a particular school club or society, or to recycle more. Use vivid language and effective vocabulary when writing a speech. This will depend on the audience and the purpose of the speech. For example, in a speech to a group of teachers and parents giving your views on a recent proposal, formal language is most appropriate. To write your speech, you'll have to focus on proper language and proper organization. You will have to think about the audience that the speech is intended for. Are you giving your speech to a group of people you know, or do not know, or a mixture of both? If you know your audience well, you may be able to relax a little, but a speech is still a formal kind of talk and would usually not include slang. Consider whether your audience are likely to disagree with what you say. You will then need to reflect on any possible objections and deal with them. Use language carefully to make objections seem less significant. For example, using phrases like, "A few people may still think, however." The reason you're giving this speech and how you feel about this topic is also important. Try to imagine the words of your speech as you would speak them out loud. Your tone of voice must match your message, so choose words that appeal to the emotions of your listeners. Focus on what you want your audience to know and feel by the end of your speech. You need to engage your listeners. For example, you might use inclusive words or phrases like the collective we, all of us, and our to make your listeners feel that you're all on the same side. Regarding organization of your speech, you need to keep in mind that the structure of a speech is usually in 3 parts. For example, an opening that grabs your audience's attention and makes the overall topic of your speech clear. For example, pose a rhetorical question to the audience where they can predict the answer. Provide a well-structured, supported, and developed argument. For example, to support your argument, you might use real-life examples or anecdotes. For a powerful conclusion, group your final words or ideas in 3s to help make them memorable, or end with a thought-provoking question or image, and thank your audience for listening. Organize your ideas into paragraphs as appropriate. This will help you to develop and support your points convincingly to build your argument and or offer a full explanation of a particular viewpoint. Show the connections between ideas in sentences and paragraphs, where a new point or idea follows on from what you have already said. You might use linking words or phrases such as in addition, likewise, or similarly. On your screen, you can see the format of a speech. Speeches are a mixed mode text. They are written texts, but unlike articles or letters, they are delivered orally. Speakers often include sections where they address the audience and try to get their responses by asking questions or by creating some sort of interaction between the speaker and the audience. This approach might work well in real-life situations, but be careful when you write a speech for a directed writing question. Asking questions can work well, but if you use questions too often, you might digress from your main arguments. On your answer sheet, your speech will appear in paragraphs. There is no need to use subheadings. You need to remember to use a conversational tone without using slangs and end the speech by thanking the audience for their attention. Let us now have a look at the writing of a magazine article. The purpose of an article is often to inform and persuade the reader. Articles give the reader information about a certain topic, bringing together and discussing different perspectives to provide a balanced argument, which lets the reader make up their own mind about the topic. Articles can also be used to persuade the reader that a certain viewpoint is correct. For example, articles in newspapers or magazines might express a particular viewpoint or perspective. This may be positive or negative depending on the topic. The way you use language and organize your ideas when writing an article will depend on the audience and the purpose you're writing for. To write your article, you'll have to focus on proper language and proper organization. You will have to think about the audience that the article is for. When writing an article, you do not usually know your readers personally, and so you will need to think about their likely interests and experience before you write. You will also have to think about how do you expect or want your audience to react. Remember that the tone of most articles should be semi-formal. So, before deciding on your tone, imagine your article being read out loud and how that might sound to your reader. For example, an article reviewing a film may be humorous, even sarcastic, but that would not work well for more serious readers or topics. You will also have to focus on what is the purpose of the article. Is the purpose or reason for writing your article to persuade your readers to agree with you, or to invite your readers to think about different points of view and decide for themselves? For example, do you need to sound reliable and well-informed, or Choose words that strongly convey a particular emotion. You will also have to focus on how to maintain your reader's interest. Imagine how boring it would be for your reader if you use the same kind of sentences and simple, repetitive vocabulary all the way through your article. Try to include a range of grammatical structures and relevant vocabulary to make sure that your reader wants to keep reading, and don't forget to start with a catchy title. Concerning organization of your article, you need to plan a route through your article before you start writing it. The structure of an article is usually in 3 parts. For example, an introduction in which you engage your reader's interest and introduce your argument or the main points of the topic to be discussed. A middle in which you develop relevant and interesting points about the topic to interest and or convince your readers to think about a particular perspective. An end to draw your points together and leave your reader with a clear impression of the argument you want them to believe or the viewpoints you would like them to consider. You need to organize your ideas into paragraphs as appropriate. This will help you to develop and support your points convincingly to build your argument and offer a full explanation of a particular point of view. You need to show your reader at a glance what your article is about. Articles usually have a suitable headline to attract their readers' attention, and you can choose to use subheadings to help break your article up and move your reader on. Do not overdo these, but well-chosen subheadings can help to catch and keep your reader's attention, as well as sum up the main points you're making. On your screen, you can see the format of a magazine article. This magazine article uses a catchy heading that is relevant to the topic of the article. It introduces the topic in the first paragraph and uses a rhetorical question to engage the reader. The writer has used contrasting viewpoints, making it clear where one view or another is being put forward. In addition, it uses an appropriate linking word at the beginning of the paragraph to show a new contrasting argument. Moreover, it develops the argument that online friendships are useful and supports it by reference to an expert. Having discussed a number of the arguments, it leaves the reader with a strong impression of the value of social media friendships. The good thing about this article is that there is a variety of sentence structures and appropriate vocabulary. Let us now move on to the writing of an email. The purpose of an email is often to inform and convince the reader. Emails are a quicker way to communicate than sending a letter by post, and so they are often used for ongoing situations or discussions. Emails can give the reader immediate feedback, opinions, or information about a certain topic. Emails can also be used to persuade the reader that the writer's view is correct and that some sort of action or decision is required. However, emails can also provide a balanced argument, which suggests possible alternatives, but allow the reader make up their own mind about the topic. The way you use language and vocabulary when writing an email will depend on the audience and the purpose you're writing for. To write your email, you'll have to focus on proper language and organization. You will need to use appropriate language for emails. Emails are often sent to one person, but they can also be sent to multiple readers at the same time. Be mindful of the audience. You need to also consider the context and your relationship to the reader. The tone of most emails should be semi-formal, but some emails can be a little more relaxed in tone. For example, if you're emailing someone you know well or a friend. Emails can also be more formal. For example, if you're emailing your boss about a situation at work. Do not write too lengthy emails and avoid unnecessary details. If it is a formal email, use formal language and remember to be polite. Avoid using emojis or informal abbreviations such as ASAP. Regarding organization of your email, remember that you need a subject line, just 2 or 3 words so that your reader can tell at a glance what the topic is. Then a brief introduction to explain why you're writing the email. For example, if you're emailing a stranger, introduce yourself very briefly and then get straight to the point. If it is someone you know or a response to an email you have received, you may need to remind your reader of the situation so far. Second, focus on the body of the response, which includes relevant points about the topic, developed and supported appropriately. You should divide your explanation into fairly short paragraphs, each dealing with a key aspect of the topic. Thirdly, you will have to focus on the closing section, which explains briefly what is next. If you want your reader to do something, make that clear here. For example, please let me know by Thursday if, or to show that you're open to further discussion, and your email on a friendly note. For example, thank you for your help with this. Let's keep in touch. You need to make your email easy to read and follow. For example, you can use headings or short lists where it's appropriate. Appropriate connecting words and phrases can often do a better job. For example, however, it is crucial to remember. Use a suitable greeting and sign off appropriately. This will depend on who you're writing to and why. For example, Dear Mr. Green and perhaps best wishes, or Dear Sir or Madam and yours faithfully. If you're writing to a group informally and don't want to use all their names, greetings might be a useful opening. On your screen, you can now see the format of an email. Although there are superficial differences between letters and emails, in practice they are very similar text types. Both are presented in paragraph form, and their content is determined by audience, purpose, and topic, rather than form. Emails, like letters, can vary in formality and length. Although, for the purpose of examinations, you should always be guided by word counts. Some letter writing tasks may require to include an address and date, but you do not need to include an email address when responding to email writing activities. For more information about text types, you can consult the Mauritius Schools Support Hub, which does not require any login or password. This site can be accessed on www.cambridgeinternational.org/Mauritius. This site will help you in your learning by providing you with resources on specimen materials, guides to writing, a letter, a report, an article, a speech, an email, or descriptive and narrative essays. That will be all for today. I hope that you're now more confident to write different kinds of texts. Thank you. Goodbye.